What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm bringing you guys my UFC Singapore predictions. Unlike most cards following a pay-per-view, this one's actually not too bad, and there's a couple of interesting fights that I want to talk about. So let's get into it. So I wanted to shout out some of the prelim fights before we get into the main card, like JJ Aldrich, she's taking on Liang Na. That should be a pretty fun matchup. Chidi and Jokwani comes back against Michael Oleskichuk, and we also have Waldo Cortez Acosta coming in and fighting Lucas Bresky. And those are all some pretty fun fights that will definitely be entertaining to watch and something to keep your eye on. So starting things off, I wanted to take a look at a matchup in the women's flyweight division. And it's Erin Blanchfield taking on Taila Santos. Santos' last time out was against Valentina Shevchenko in a close fight for the belt in which a lot of people actually thought she won. I thought it was really close. I did slightly edge it out to Valentina, but it was a hell of a performance nonetheless. Blanchfield's last time out was a submission over Jessica Andrade, and she's been on a tear as of late. She also submitted Molly McCann at MSG, and she's just looked absolutely unstoppable in her recent performances. And a lot of people honestly consider her to be the next champion in this division. In front of her, though, she does have her hands full with Taila Santos. Santos is a really good striker with pretty good jiu-jitsu as well. She knows how to handle pressure on her back. Is it pressure like Blanchfield's going to bring? I don't know. Erin is probably the best wrestler in this division, I would say, and that's exactly what she's going to look to do in this fight. I don't see her trying to stand up with Taila that much. I think her success in this fight will come if she's able to bring her to the ground. So, I don't know. It's really a tough one to predict. I think it's a classic striker versus grappler matchup, and whoever succeeds best in their trait will win the fight. But if I had to pick right now, I'm probably still going to edge it out to Erin Blanchfield. I know I just said that Santos was really good and all, but Blanchfield is on another level right now. And with her confidence, I just don't see her losing at this point. I could get this one wrong, though, and I think a lot of people are counting out Taila Santos, but yeah, I am still just going to go with Erin Blanchfield. I think her wrestling will be enough, and she'll squeeze out a decision victory. I don't think she'll end up getting the submission, though, on Santos. Up next, a matchup in the featherweight division, and we have Giga Chikadze making his long-awaited return against Alex Caceres. This is going to be a 15-minute kickboxing match. Let's just have it right. That's exactly what this is going to be. And if that's the case, I don't see how I could bet against Giga Chikadze. I know he's been out for a really long time, and that last fight against Cater was just not good for him at all, but Cater's a different level, and there's a difference between the top 5 and the top 15. So I think Giga, he'll bounce back here. I think he'll get the job done against Caceres. I think Caceres is just going to be like a lot of other fighters Giga's fought in the past. I don't think he's going to throw anything new at him. And yeah, I think Giga's just going to piece him up for about 15 minutes, maybe get the finish and get his confidence back so he can work his way up the division. And in the co-main event, we have a rematch in the light heavyweight division, and it's Anthony Smith taking on Ryan Spann. This is going to be a pretty fun fight, I think. Both guys know what each other are like, fought each other before. Anthony Smith was the one who came out on top last time, and I think that's going to be the same this time around. And I think that's a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I don't know. If Smith was able to do it once before, I don't see why he wouldn't again. His jiu-jitsu is very good. We saw glimpses of Spann's jiu-jitsu in his fight against Nikita Krylov recently, but he ultimately got out-grappled and got submitted. So how good is it really? I think Spann obviously is going to try and keep this one on the feet. He's going to try and land a knockout. He has power, we know, but if Smith can get a hold of him and bring him to the ground, I could see him comfortably getting a victory. I think he could definitely put on a great performance and maybe even squeak out a finish, but if I were to bet on it, I'd probably just say Smith would take this one by decision. So yeah, I think Anthony Smith, while he's still on the decline in his career, definitely still has a bit in the gas tank, and I don't know if Ryan Spann's really all that, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think Smith will squeeze out a victory here. Now finally on to our main event of the evening, and we have Max Holloway back again to take on the Korean Zombie in what could be the Zombie's last fight in the UFC. So I think we know what these two guys are about. Two amazing strikers who have great takedown defense as well. But This matchup, particularly in my opinion, is a bit of a mismatch at this stage. Yes, Max called for the Zombie, said he was the only guy from his generation of fighter that he hasn't fought yet, which is fair, okay. But I think Max Holloway forgets, too, that he's still the #1 contender in this division. I mean, no one really beats him besides Volkanovski. He's still at the top of his game and still has any given chance to beat anyone on any single night. And I don't really know if we can say that about the Zombie anymore. So Zombie's had some time off since his last fight, which was against Alexander Volkanovski for UFC Gold. However, I don't know if that's exactly what he needs at this point. To be honest, I think the only issue with the Zombie in that fight was just his speed. Volk was way too quick for him and just kept piecing him up. And as you get older, speed's not necessarily something you can enhance. I think that's just something that comes with age. You get slower. I didn't even think he was that bad in that fight. I think he understood what he had to do to win, but just wasn't quick enough for it. And I don't know if that's going to be any different against a guy like Max. Max is known for his volume of punches and how quick he can be. He might just have the step on the Zombie once again. And if it goes like the way it did against Volkanovski, then it's wraps. Max is going to take it. I think the only way the Zombie wins this fight, to be honest, is if he comes out wrestling heavy, which I just don't see happening at all. But maybe he's figured out a way to actually beat Max, and maybe I could look like an idiot. But if I were to pick, I mean, I don't bet against Max Holloway. I think he's still one of the best fighters in the UFC, and he's going to show that this Saturday night. He's going to piece up the Zombie, which sucks because I like the Zombie a lot, and sucks he's going to be retiring soon, but it is what it is, and I think it's time. So, yeah, I think they'll put on a great fight. I think there will be a little bit of a back and forth. I hope the Zombie can keep it competitive, but ultimately, I do see Max squeaking out the finish in the later rounds, maybe the 4th or 5th round with the TKO, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens, but for that fight, I will be taking Max Holloway to win via KO. And there you have it. Those are my picks for UFC Singapore. A pretty nice card following a pay-per-view, and a lot of fun fights. Like, I can't really complain too much. It's going to be interesting to see Max back. I always love watching Max fight. See what happens in the Smith and Spann fight. Not one I'm crazy about, but I'll still watch it, obviously. You get Chukovsky and Caceres has potential to be a really good fight. And then Aaron Blanchfield versus Tyler Santos. Probably the most excited I've been for a women's fight in a really long time. So, yeah, good card overall. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. That would help me out a lot. And stay tuned for an interesting video that I'm going to be dropping later this week. I won't say too much about it, but it's going to be a video talking about a certain individual and whether we'll be able to see him again in the UFC. So yeah, make sure you stick around and tune in for that when that comes out. But yeah, I want to thank you guys a lot for watching, and take care.